began settling and all, and then later on, J.B. White, he had a sawmill here.
He came here from Pennsylvania.
And so they were, their occupation and their livelihood was that big timber, wasn't it?
Yes.
And so at the same time, when all these people started moving in, they had to have a school for the kids. And so this is how this school got started, I guess. Probably the first schoolhouse in this community was small, attended by Arena Walker. She was born in 1874. So that was after the Civil War, yeah.
Yes.
In the first grade, along with her teacher's daughter and maybe 40 or more older students, while J.B. White's sawmill was operating nearby, and Mr. White had a neat white clapboard schoolhouse built for grades 1 through 8. A large wood-burning stove with a sturdy cover provided heat in the winter. On a January afternoon around 2 o'clock in 1941, as our 7th, 8th, and 8th history class was reciting, we noticed a wisp of smoke drifting from behind the newly built flue. A classmate said loudly, "The house is on fire." The teacher, Miss Marie Webb Hildebrand, and I remember her, announced softly, "Shh, put on your coats and go outside." All did, mostly unaware of the scary problem outside. There were no telephones, no cars there, no fire department. The teacher sent a student or two to the nearest home to alert them and allowed older students to grab a few books. Many of us ran home a mile or more in many cases to tell our parents the bad news, though some may not have considered it so. I was very upset thinking we could not have school anymore, and I loved school. So that's what Miss Marie Webb said, Hildebrand.
Well, I was the one who wrote that. Do you remember?
So Virgie, you wrote that little thing she just read?
Pardon?
You were the writer of what she just read?
I wrote the little history there.
Okay.
Right. Then my computer jammed and I couldn't finish anymore. But I got that much out done. Did you agree with all that? Is there anything you want to add to what she read? You want to add
I couldn't hear nothing. I got hearing aids, but I still can't hear anything.
Oh, I'm sorry. She was telling me about she read about the day the schoolhouse caught on fire when we were down the foot of the hill.
Yeah, Virgie Alcorn was a teacher.
Right.
Yeah, I remember all that.
Right. Well, that's what I wrote.
I was only in what, the first or second grade or something then. I don't know.
I think maybe fourth or fifth.
Was that long?
Yeah.
I know then we had school in the church house for a couple of years.
That's right. But anyway, they did arrange for us to start having school in the church house after a week or so. So we went out there to school in the church house. And with the same teacher, we went to school there, and then a lot of the people that had children in school did not like to be down at the foot of the hill because they kept getting stuck in the mud down there when it was muddy, and also getting on the ice. They couldn't get up and down the road. They said, "Well, let's build a schoolhouse up on the main road so we won't have too much car trouble." So that's what they did. They bought a piece of land, an acre of land, from Bill Skaggs, who lived down here, and he let us have it for the school. And they paid him for it, and they hired Elmer Norman and Bartzel Boyer to build the house. And Bartzel
He didn't want to help build his church, wasn't he,
they
Elmer?
built a schoolhouse here.
I meant the schoolhouse.
Yes, they were the ones who built it.
Yeah.
And so that's how we got the schoolhouse built up here on the hill.
This original one right here.
This is the original, built in 1941. And they worked on it all summer and into the fall. We got moved into it by winter, barely. And I remember my brother got very sick with pneumonia, and he couldn't be here. We had to miss a little bit of school too, because we didn't have cars. We had to walk. Now I think my dad did have a little pickup truck.
How far did you live from here?
I lived down this way about 2 miles, something like that.
2 miles walk to school.
Hey, Virgie, as far as you know, how many teachers do we have here that still living?
Not very many,
I know, I only know one.
is that right?
Skaggs?
Now, Neil Skaggs, yes, I think she's still living.
Yeah, she's still living, but she's the only one that I know of. That was teaching back then, and when I went to school.
Right. But
You know,
we were so proud of this building. Go ahead.
I always thought when I was going to school in the 8th grade and 7th, I always thought that Virgie was a lot older than me because I would be walking that way from home and she'd be walking this way from home. So I thought she was a lot older than me. And then years later I found out that she wasn't older than me, she was just smarter.
Smart